streaming. So welcome, YouTubers, or if you're watching this first time, or if you're happen to already jump on, awesome.
Oh, wait, I'm
live.
supposed to mute stuff.
Yep, you'll need to mute stuff here in a moment. Oh, wow. So YouTube is now remembering what I had put in there. So, yeah, there we are.
Ryan, we typically have a handful of people, anywhere from 7 to 25, that will watch this like it's a live TV show.
Sure.
Rusty, have you screen grabbed a picture of Ryan yet?
I did. As a matter of fact, I took that exact picture that you were talking about.
Okay, so the picture that I sent Rusty is the one where y'all are at the fence. It looks like down towards turn 3, where you and the godson are like, woo!
Yeah.
It was a good picture, and it's exciting. I figured that would be a fun one to have. I'll give you the rundown of the show right quick. We do our intros and everything first. The way I have all this audio stuff set up, and as a fellow podcaster yourself, you probably know there's always little kinks here and there. During our intro and while our background music is playing, we may go out on you. You may not be able to hear us, and it may last like a minute and a half. People will be able to hear you. So if you're going, hey guys, I lost you, hello, they'll be able to hear that, but you might not be able to hear us for that point. I'll keep an eye and make sure that the connection isn't lost or anything. But otherwise, once that music goes down, me and Sherwin will be talking, and then you'll hear us bring you on. Does that sound good?
Sounds awesome.
All right. So just format of the show, we do our intros and stuff. Sherwin and I will talk for like 30 seconds on something, then we'll bring you on. We always do a segment called What You Drinking. It has become...
Clearly, if you have an Australian friend coming into town, that there's some drinking fixing to happen.
That's correct.
Of
That's
some
absolutely
sort.
correct.
So we'll do that, and then we'll talk about the stuff we were talking about. Talking about Atlanta a bit, talking about your series, Dinner with Racers, which I'm going to say correctly every time, and then talking about Atlanta a bit. Like I said, I'll keep an eye on time. When we're about half an hour in, I'll let you roll, and I think that about does it. Any questions or anything you want to add?
No, I just posted a link on my Facebook and Twitter, and hopefully
Awesome.
we get some new listeners for you.
What a guy! Appreciate that.
No
Cool.
problem.
Well, let's see. I always forget one thing, whether it's like updating the episode number or doing something here or there. This time I forgot to bring up our music, so we don't edit at all afterwards either. So
cool.
This is kind of a what you see is what you get thing, which means I mix the music and sounds and whatnot all in at the same time, while we're talking and everything. So it's slightly challenging, but I found less challenging than having to go back and edit an hour's worth of footage and try to figure all that stuff out. So.
It's way more fun to be put on the spot, too.
Yeah. I think doing that has made us, I don't know about better, but made us more conscious of that, hey, dumbass, you got to say something.
Yeah, the 3-second pauses that were happening in like the first 25 episodes, we've pretty well cleared that up.
Right.
The rest of it, though, is sometimes it is show, sometimes it's not.
Yeah. So with that, I think we're ready to roll. Ryan, are you ready to go?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Jordan, you ready?
I am ready.
All right, gentlemen, we are recording now. Welcome, y'all! That's right. This is the Pregame Engineer Tailgate Mayor Racing Podcast, episode number 184. It's Tuesday, February 26, 2019. I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace. I'm in the PETM Podcast Studio with Pregame Engineer Andrew Sherwin. What's up, dude?
Have you recovered from the weekend yet?
No!
I think I have, except for I had to work today. Well, which kind of sucked, actually.
Your face is still sunburned, so I know that's not fully
it's definitely
recovered.
still sunburned. Yeah,
we're gonna get into all that.
I have some of that, like what is it, Bumblebee or whatever butter stuff. I haven't used any of it.
Oh yeah, well it's time to get into that. Before you do, y'all know what the deal is. This podcast is sponsored by you. That's right. You go to patreon.com/PETM. Join the What You Drink Club for as little as $1 a month and get your free koozie. Best part is every cent in 2019 we're donating to sponsoring drivers. So join the PETM posse today. Be a part of the sport you love. This week's show is brought to you by our official sponsors at the $5 and up per month level. Those are Laura Henshaw, Aaron Bearden, Robert Keplinger, Coleman Clam, Ed Kepner, Ryan Kiefer, Parrott, Patrick Cleary, Jeff Brown, Brandon Crowd, Kathy McDonald, Stacey Ray, Brendan Carl, Billy Workman, Rika Porter, Jumpy Bob, Les Miller, Tommy Witt, Julie Bozzi, John Pearson, Eddie Greer III, Yunker Motorsports, Jason Rudd, David Mullins, Patrick Johnson, Brett Morris, Gail Delaney, and Crystal Smoke. Woo! That was a one-breather, but I'm all excited, man. Excited to get this thing started. We have an excellent guest on tonight. Before we bring him on, I do want to say, in total sincerity, huge props to Atlanta Motor Speedway, Mandy, the social media coordinator. I think that's what she's doing, right?
Yep, and U.S. Legends.
Yep, and Ed Clark, I think president consultant at this point. Brandon Hutchinson, president of the track. And we got to meet him, and he said he'll, let's get on the show. Let's figure this thing out. He was so cool. Had a great time with Brandon Crowd. Stayed, and props to your parents as well for hosting us for what amounted to, I think, like 4 days worth of doing stuff.
Pretty much.
So what a great weekend. They gave us access to absolutely everything, anything and everything we wanted, except for, jumping in and giving bunny ears to Jeff Gordon. But I think we could have done that. Like, the door was unlocked. We would have just been very kicked out very quickly and everything revoked.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so, I mean, the interaction of the week was Friday afternoon when we were kind of finishing up and ready to go home. And Mandy was like, so did you guys have fun? Did you go everywhere? That was Friday. And I was like, yeah, I think we went everywhere we were allowed to go, and a couple places that we're not probably supposed to be. And she goes, well, good. That's how this is supposed to work.
Yeah. So what a great time we had. We'll get all into it for sure. But we want to do that with our guest right here, who was also at Atlanta Motor Speedway. But we want to welcome to the show driver of the 89 Nice Hart Racing Team Honda Civic Type R and number 5 Gradient Racing Acura NSX GT3. He's a 2018 TCR PWC, all these acronyms champion. You know him from his show, Dinner with Racers, at DWR Show. He's on Twitter, at Ryan Eversley. It's Ryan Eversley. Ryan, what's happening, man?
Hey, guys. How are we doing tonight?
We are doing awesome. We're excited to be here. We're super excited to have you on. So thank you.
This is the most fun thing we do all week, typically.
It sure is. And we did it twice last week. So it's a boatload of fun. I think you know how it is going into there's that whole preparation going into a show with your dinner with racers and everything. Going into the show, there's all the I don't want to call it stress. I mean, it's fun, but it's
anticipation.
The anticipation, the logistics, the operations, the making sure all the T's are crossed and I's are dotted, all that stuff. And then as soon as you hit record, that all just goes out the window, and now you're just having fun. Is that kind of how it is for you too, or is it still some more, stress level while you're doing the show?
Well, let me ask you a question. What do you guys do for a living? What's your day job?
I am a sales engineer in the B2B soft goods industry.
I work in software.
Okay.
So
the podcast for me is an awesome avenue to, like, on my own personal level, get to meet some of my heroes and actually get to hear their stories. The one thing you got to remember, though, is that if it does not go well, I still work in racing the next day. So when you have a guest like Mario Andretti, for example, you're like, man, I really hope I don't screw this up, because that guy could make my life hell if I crossed him. So it is, as you guys put it out, it's stressful, it's fun, it's exciting, but at the same time, I also have to remember that this is the industry I work in. So if I don't do a good job or don't get what we should get out of these episodes, it could be a little bit, problematic down the road.
So we say that our litmus test for success is at the end of the show or a few days later. If our guest is willing to come on again at some point in the future, then we have we've been successful. So and they weren't spitting mad or didn't hang up on us or nothing like that. So we just like to sit here and have fun and drink a beer. And with that, our PETM Posse knows exactly how we start the show with every guest. Ryan, what are you drinking on tonight?
I'm currently drinking a giant water because my buddy Scott Andrews, who's a race-winning driver in the ELMS series over in Europe, don't hold that against him. He went home for the winter because he's smart. He went down to Australia where he's from, and so I haven't seen him about 3 months. So he just landed about an hour ago. So as soon as we get done with this podcast, we're going to go to the pub And I think I'm going to be having a Sweetwater 420 to represent, my state of Georgia.
My man, Sherwin.
Fourth wall.
Sherwin, what are we drinking?
Well, so you mentioned Sweetwater. I'm drinking an Exodus Porter, and because we don't ever not two fist, I've also got a Coca-Cola Zero, Atlanta represent, with Atlanta Braves badged Jim Beam.
So it's Atlanta.
It's Atlanta all the way around here, folks.
Sir. So, yep, we're going to get deep into the 420 as well. Not that 420, people. Get your mind out of the gutter.
Take it easy.
But yeah, we'll be in it too. We got him sitting right here. That's
now
that's
if we go to
super cool.
Fontana.
I mean Vegas next week.
There you go.
We wanted to shout out to Team Atlanta right here. You live in Atlanta. We live. I live just sort of northeast of the city, but still like I have an Atlanta mailing address. I'm still Atlanta. Sherwin is up in about 20 minutes north of the city. So we're all Atlanta based, Atlanta born, Atlanta. How often does this happen that you find three people in the same, I don't know, room, area, whatever you want to call this, from Atlanta? Like everybody either moves to Atlanta, or if they're from Atlanta, they move away from Atlanta. So it's it's fun coming into our airport, and especially in the, what do you call it, in the international terminal. People come, ton of people come to the international terminal, and they have to go through customs, and then they have to fly to where they're going, and there's a line for them. And then there's a separate line that says, if you live in Atlanta and are staying, like you're not on a connecting flight, go in this line. And you're just walking by all of them, just waving, hey, y'all. So, but yeah, to get three folks from Atlanta all on the same show, that's kind of cool.
Well, we're all born here. They're all kind of like in the burbs, too. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
You grew up in Snellville. Ryan grew up in Lithonia, and I grew up in Fayetteville. So we're all in similar proximity.
Yeah.
To the downtown area of ATL.
We've got it surrounded. So that means you're probably an Atlanta sports fan. Is that right, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, against my better judgment, I'm an Atlanta sports fan. It's if you know anything, obviously you guys know this, but if you know how heartbreaking it can be to be a Braves fan, at least this last year was pretty good, and obviously the Falcons have been really good about letting you down at the end of the season. But you got to stick to the home team, and obviously the Atlanta United came in last year and blew everybody away, got the big championship there, and they're going to get a star over their name on their jersey because that's what happens in soccer, which I didn't know anything about whatsoever, but now I'm all in.
That's awesome. Yeah, and we're all basically the same age, Ryan. I guess I'm probably a couple years older than you, but Rusty's in between me and you. And so we've all had the same basic experience in terms of the Braves and the Falcons and the Hawks. And now Atlanta United, which, a big uptick in excitement.
Came in and dunked on everybody. I mean, it was great. So,
Spud Webb winning the dunk contest.
Yeah. We are well chronicled in our podcast as Atlanta United fans. Matter of fact, we had
Brittany Arnold,
Atlanta United representative and field reporter on a few weeks ago. Probably to the chagrin of a lot of the PTM posse.
Well, we might have lost some followers there. I don't know.
But
NASCAR fans don't typically like the what do they call it? Commie ball.
The commie ball.
Wow.
Yeah, okay. that happens.
I heard that one.
Yeah, I heard that all growing up because I played it, so I've heard everything. But Atlanta United, pretty special thing for Atlanta to have. Now with 2 championships, 1 World Series, 1 MLS Cup.
Yep. So, we're just going to collect a few more here. Maybe it takes us 20 years between everyone, but we'll get there. Dadgummit.
Dadgummit.
With that said, I wanted to talk a little bit, Ryan, about Dinner with Racers and really the inception. I love talking to other podcasters about their podcast because seeing the similarities and differences and how things came about and what your thinking was going into this thing and how it started and some of the things you've learned along the way, if you can just sort of talk about how, that sort of stuff. Yeah. Did we lose him?
That would be 2. There he is.
There he is. In and out. The old In and Out.
The old In and Out burger.
Yep. That'll happen sometimes. We'll get Ryan right back on the phone here shortly.
He's kind of there.
You guys got me?
Yeah,
yeah, there you are.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, that's weird. Nothing changed over here. I can hear you guys fine. So basically, about I'd say roughly around 2010, my partner Sean Heckman and I, who I knew through working for a couple of race teams, he does a lot of media, marketing, and PR for the best GT teams in sports car racing. He and I had the idea of doing a TV show similar to what we do with the podcast, which is sitting around, having a meal with your buddies and racing, and just shooting the shit and see what comes up.
Mm-hmm.
And the original thought was, what if we had a camera for this and it was just our buddies? But then we started thinking about how expensive that would be to have, multiple cameras. When would we do it? How would we make it all work? And it just didn't really seem feasible. So we kicked this idea around for about 3 years, till around 2013. And that's when podcasts really started to come to life. What if we thought similar, but just in podcasts.
Bear with us, y'all.
We reached out to Continental Tire, who right away, and I just signed a concept. Hey, can I use that brand new company car you just gave me, that Acura MDX, to drive across the country a bunch of times to talk to people about racing? And they were like, yeah, go for it. Start yourself. And so that's kind of how it began. We didn't know if anybody would listen. And Sean's background is not only through motorsports, but also he has a degree from UCLA Film School. He's worked at television networks like E! and Discovery, things like that. And he knew that it's very possible that nobody at all could listen, and we have to be prepared for that. So we went on the road. We did something like 8,000 miles in 26 days, and we interviewed, a bunch of our friends, but then also people we'd never even met before, and just to see what would happen. And we put it out, and immediately people responded very favorably, and our download count went through the roof. And so we knew right then that we had something that was going to be pretty popular.
Man, that's cool. When we started this, obviously we didn't have any ends. It was two guys who like to watch racing and start talking about racing on the microphone.
Potatoes. And we started talking on potatoes.
Yeah, on potatoes. Potato microphones. But the point is, it was the same sort of deal in terms of expectations. Our expectation, I think our first episode got 25 downloads, and we were freaking out like, 25 people listen, dude. Holy cow. I can't believe it. That's
right.
That's unbelievable.
Like,
why would anybody listen to this
why
garbage?
Would anyone listen?
Nowadays I won't call the content garbage, but I still don't know why anybody listens. So we thank everybody who does for doing it.
Well, so to appease the folks that are in the timeline, and I think you've already seen, Ryan, and a big part of the Dinners with Racers is introducing this topic from the ESPN movie they did about Dale Earnhardt, which has been well lamented in the past, but I ain't going back to that mill.
I ain't going back to that mill.
Right. I wanted to, let's do this. So let's go ahead and tear it down. From this last weekend, it's time to get into the report card section. There it is. So here's the deal. We were all, as it turns out, at Atlanta Motor Speedway this weekend. Ryan, tell us about your experience at AMS, where you were hanging out, and really starting off with our first period here, what we thought of the Cup race at Atlanta Motor Speedway this weekend.
Yes, so my godson Ryder, who you can see in the picture, very, very excited. He's got his Chase Elliott team crew shirt on. He is diehard Chase Elliott through and through fan, and that stems from his grandfather, who was my music teacher in 7th grade, funny enough. And I just now started calling him Ken, but he's been Mr. Reed my whole life, so it's hard to kind of make that crossover. So the backstory there is that I introduced Spencer Pumpelly to his wife, Lindsay Reed, now Lindsay Pumpelly, and she and I went to high school together, and I knew Spencer from racing, and they just connected. They have 2 beautiful kids, Ryder and Parker, and they're some of my closest friends. So when I knew that the Atlanta NASCAR race was coming up, I reached out to my close friend, Rutledge Wood, who's an NBC Sports commentator as well as just TV personality, probably doesn't need any introduction to your fan base. And he and I are close. He's one of my favorite people in the world. And I was like, hey, man, can I get a couple of garage passes for Spencer? It's really for Ryder. Can we go, and he's like, not a problem. Took care of it right away. And then I reached out to Alex Bowman, who's also a friend through the podcast. He's a big fan of our of our show. Yeah, he's a solid dude. One of my guys. I cheer for him more than almost any of those guys because he's just such a good person. And I said, hey, I'm trying to get a hold of Chase Elliott's PR handler for the Atlanta deal. And he's like, oh, well, it's Morgan Overstreet. Well, I didn't realize that Morgan, who I've known for a while now, is doing that job. So I was like, oh, I'm an idiot, you know. So I reached out to Morgan. I explained the situation, and she's like, you know, I'll try to do whatever I can for you, but he's the most popular driver in the paddock now, and it's going to be and I'm like, anything you can do would be fine, you know, anything at all. So this is where it gets a little crazy. We get to the racetrack Sunday morning, and we're walking through the garage with Rutledge and his wife, and we're having a nice time. And here comes the 9 car, and again, Ryder's 6 years old. He's a little guy. And he sees the number 9, he just loses it. You know, he almost freezes up a little bit. So a friend of mine, Mason, works on the 9 car. He's a tire specialist. So I told him we were coming. So sure enough, right away he's like, "Hey, Ryder, get over here and help us push the car through tech." So not only does this kid get to see the car, he gets to push it. You know, and he's immediately deputized as part of the team, which is super cool. So they push the car through tech, and we back up to let the tech guys do their thing. So then the officials, the NASCAR officials, who don't know us from Adam, they don't know who Ryder is or anything like that, they see that he's watching, and they literally say, hey, come help us put the template on the nose of this car. So now he's teching the 9 car for NASCAR 5 minutes into being at the racetrack. We are losing our minds watching this.
That's so cool.
It could have been cooler, you know. And again, they didn't know maybe that we have connections or anything at all. It was like, here's a kid that's interested. He's adorable. Let's get him in here. So that just that made it even better because that wasn't like someone pulling a favor. That was just guys that are all excited about seeing a kid get into NASCAR. And I was really moved by that. So literally after we pushed the car all the way through tech, Ryder's now part of the crew. We went over to the trailer. Bowman came over and we got a picture with Alex and Ryder, and that was really neat. And then he got a tour of the number 19 truck with our buddy Martin Truex Jr. and Cole Pearn. That was super neat. And then the moment of what we were all waiting for, Chase comes over. Morgan, coolest lady in the world, she's like, Ryder, stand right here. She brings Chase over. He and I kind of know each other. We talked for a minute. And then he and Chase had their moment of chatting, and what's important to remember is that Ryder, 6 years old, they share the same birthday, he and Chase.
Oh, wow.
So, so he right after that, he's like, hey, Chase, guess what? We have the same birthday. And he said, how old are you? And Ryder says, I'm 6. And he goes, well, you're getting pretty old, man. And it was just this super cool moment that if they had just said, hey, look, he's unavailable, we would have understood. If they had said he's only got time for a high five, we would have understood. But the fact that all these people took the time to make this little boy's dream come true, that was just the coolest thing ever. And so I couldn't say enough good things about the racing community already in terms of things like this, but seeing it come together with a guy of Chase's, notoriety and fame right now, it was really, really, really cool. So that was our experience outside of the actual racing, which we can get to next if you want. But we had a great time. AMS was awesome. Cheap beer, cheap hot dogs. I had a great time.
That's so cool, and it's funny how that goes, how that generosity gets passed around. I mean, we're talking to a driving champion on this Rinky Dink podcast radio show here, and for you to also come in and say, yes, we have that same. I'm not 6 years old right now, but I've got that same doughy-eyed. Holy cow, Ryan Eversley said yes. Okay, awesome. So super cool all the way around. And yeah, that's man, that's awesome. That's awesome at Chase. That's awesome everybody. I mean, it's the same. Like you said, it's the same stuff and you said it. This community just continues to, pile it on in the generosity.
Yeah, and so I will continue to pile on because I think that story's great. Ryan, obviously, the Georgia connection. We're really fond of Chase. He's for me, he's my guy. And I'm not going to project that on Rusty because he can. We're fond of a lot of drivers now that we've done this thing, but we do have a great relationship with the Dawsonville pool room. And if you guys were going to make a stop up there, and we could all do a show with Gordon Perkle Sr. at the Hall of Fame there. That's what we're trying to cook up. Those guys have been very generous to us over the years with letting us come up there and do a show. And I don't know, it would be pretty cool to gather all that Georgia history together and see if we couldn't work something out.
Yeah. So let's talk about the racing too, though. Let's talk about the racing that we had at AMS. This whole deal about the new package and everything else that's going on and blah blah blah. We'll get to it in a moment, but I really want to hear what Ryan's got to say, his experience in terms of the racing product that we saw on Sunday.
I talked to a couple of drivers before the race started, and I was just curious, hey, what do you think? Is this going to be crazy? Is it going to be fun? Are they excited? And they all seem to have the same attitude of I don't like that I'm flat out in qualifying for a couple laps, and it's not really that hard, and that takes a little bit of the talent away from the drivers, which I can totally appreciate. But I got to tell you, and I told this to their face, I was like, when you guys were in that package at Charlotte last year, I was literally I couldn't turn away, because they were running so close together. So while I understand the driving aspect from the fan side, I was kind of excited to see that again. But I will say that a couple of the guys I talked to specifically said it's not going to do what they think it's going to do. So I think the teams are already kind of ahead of the curve on what the rules package was going to produce. So we're standing down in turn one for the start on the inside. Awesome seeing a good crowd show up, but the cars look great. They're loud and fast as shit. I give NASCAR so much credit because they have the visceral side of the experience really, really handled well. But right away, when Almirola started to gap the field, I was like, oh boy, that's going to be a problem, and the pack was there for a little bit, but as it started to spread out, I thought, okay, we're definitely seeing it, get to where those guys expected, which was it didn't do what NASCAR expected it to. So, the restarts were exciting. 4 wide on the last restart was awesome.
Yeah.
But as soon as it started to spread out a little bit, I thought, okay, here goes the internet exploding because everyone's going to go, yeah, it's not what they said it was going to be. So what was cool to see, though, was that, and I'm sure the TV didn't pick this up because they have to basically cover one action or one battle, but there was passing going on almost all throughout the field, throughout the whole race. And the big thing was watching guys try to go after each other over and over again. I mean, we were watching Chase quite a bit because Ryder's obsessed, but he was working on Stenhouse for the longest time into one. He kept going to the bottom, Stenhouse to run the top, and he could not make it happen. I don't even know if they were covering it on TV, but to me that was exciting to watch as a fan because I'm like, dude, he is working every angle to try to make something happen here. So I thought the racing was good, but it didn't do what they expected, which was the big pack that we saw at Charlotte.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I thought the race looked a whole lot like what we have been seeing at Atlanta for the last probably call it 5 years. The difference is it was painfully obvious that the difference between end of straightaway speed and center corner speed was very minimal, which means there was very little off throttle time. What we did see at Atlanta, because it's 10 grit sandpaper racetrack, is that there are multiple grooves and tires do matter. We saw Kevin Harvick in stage 2 manage his tires very well and come from 12th all the way to the front because he just chilled out. Mm-hmm. And that's the way Atlanta always was way back. If you go way back before the car of tomorrow, the one with the crazy wing and when they first introduced the splitter that they developed in the truck series, that's used to be the way you drove Atlanta. You would kind of fall back, and then if you were a tire manager, and then you would come back to the front. And I think we saw some of that. I think the fact that we had 6 different drivers lead double-digit laps says that we probably had a pretty good little race going on there.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I just don't understand the spitfire vitriol that we've seen on Twitter, but we should expect that no matter what happens.
Exactly right.
Is there a universal, this was a good race? It doesn't seem like we have one of those. Maybe Logano at Martinsville last year, but so many people hate Logano, you're going to get that I hate this guy. I don't like the way he won that race. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
y'all look out for the Final Lap podcast. They are dropping on Thursday this week. Me and Sherwin were on there, whether we deserve to be or not, or we're talking terrible stuff. But I'll echo some of the things we said on there. At Atlanta, what we're used to, Sherwin, and this is what Casey Kane did so well, is going into 1 and 2 and you're just way on the throttle. It's when you come off that throttle so that you can get back on it, and you're going to slide all the way up to the wall on the racetrack, and then have all that momentum going into the backstretch. And then on 3 and 4, just trying to hold on to it, you know?
Yeah.
And then coming back
turning
around,
right to go left for the most part.
Yeah. And coming out of 4, hands are going left, right, trying to keep that back end straight with pointed in the right direction. Now, what we saw differently here was exactly what you just said, Sherwin, was they didn't have to – there wasn't any sliding up the racetrack like you see at Atlanta. It was – you just get to hold
I saw it a
your
little
groove.
bit, but it was only when you got up back behind somebody and, like, it was
And
like
kinda
you were
did the
in
draft.
space.
Yeah,
There was
yeah.
no air anymore, so your front end just took off.
Right. And so that was one difference. I think me and Sherman both saw that cars were a bit slower. I mean, it was noticeably
Significantly.
slower.
We did the math.
Yeah, we did the math on that show. We'll just put it this way. Usually we're used to seeing 189 mile an hour laps, and we were seeing 170 mile an hour laps. If you did all the math.
And that's like, once you're up to speed, so like the third lap after a restart, typically at Atlanta, for about 6 to 10 laps, you'd be running 189 average.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Sunday, we saw 170.
So with all that said, and I'm not saying that's good, bad, or indifferent. I'm just saying that was the difference that we saw. Well, the first thing that we saw in the first segment was what we usually see, or what we've seen in Atlanta after the last few years, which is somebody just taking off, and clean air means everything. And I was on the Final Lap podcast, I was saying it was very funny on Twitter and seeing the remarks that people were saying about this whole package of stuff. They'd already made up their minds about it, and they're using the first 100 miles of the season, essentially, because Daytona doesn't count in terms of the package, of the season. The first 100 miles, they're drawing their conclusion already and saying they're turning off the TV and throwing away all their die casts and burning their T-shirts and stuff.
Right.
But then what I thought we saw was 2 more stages of really good racing for Atlanta. I mean, remember Kevin Harvick last year.
Well, the last 230-something laps were awesome.
Right. Kevin Harvick just took off last year, and that was the end of that race. This year, I mean, right down to the end, you didn't know who was going to win that race with 5 to go.
Exactly.
That
30 laps with Truex chasing. I mean, throw out all the Stenhouse crap about. I mean, so we had in 2 different stages. We had the leader getting chased, and I mean chased. Like fox and hound kind of deal to the end, either the segment or to the checkered flag. I don't know what it is that you want more out of that race. The only way to have that kind of race where the second place guy is really just reeling in the leader with an opportunity is at a surface like Atlanta where it's so abrasive, you have tire fall off, you got to manage it, you got to figure it out. And we've seen, once about every 3 or 4 years, you get a really awesome finish at Atlanta. And on that same rotation, you get one where somebody gets gone. You're like, oh, this racetrack sucks. This race is too long. This is bullshit. But it's just not. You can't compartmentalize it into one race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's. I think that's the conclusion here. Was that we saw a great Atlanta race. We should be happy with having seen a great Atlanta race for. We talked to. I'm not going to say names. After the race last year, we talked to a Atlanta Motor Speedway representative who
pretty high up the food chain.
Who said, "Yeah, I mean, it was great that we got the race in and everything, but boy, Kevin just ran off with this thing, and it was. I'd like to see something a little bit better in terms of the product we have." And this year we got that. So, I don't know what to say. Are you not entertained?
Are you not? Yes, this is the Gladiator.
Right.
All right, let's give Ryan. We probably got to shoo him out the door. He's going to hang up on us. But Ryan, tell the PTM posse where we can see you race next, no matter where it is, and tell us why we should definitely go to Road America and watch you and the Hondas and Acuras whoop some ass.
Well, you should definitely go to Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, because it's a beautiful town. But I think you were referring to Road Atlanta, which is in Brazelton, if I'm correct.
Yes, I'd love to go to Elkhart Lake. That's on the bucket list.
Yeah.
Well, as the NASCAR podcast, you definitely need to go to Road America to check out the Xfinity series that runs there, because they put on one of the best road course races I think that ever happens. That track is built for awesome passes and things like that. But Road Atlanta, which I will be racing at in the Petit Le Mans weekend coming up in, I believe, September. Check IMSA.com for information. It's a track that's been there for a really long time. It's got a ton of character, super high speed, and it's surrounded by concrete walls, which for a road course, normally there's a bit more runoff for high-speed tracks like that. So when somebody has an off, it's generally a pretty big penalty to pay. It's pretty risky. So that always brings out excitement whenever it's scary if drivers crash. But also the party. It's a 10-hour race that happens on Saturday, so people are partying, throughout the week. So not a shortage of beer there, which I know you guys like drinking beer. Plenty of that to go around.
Who told you that?
Yeah, who's telling all these lies?
Rumor has it. But for me, you can follow me in the IMSA. It's called the Michelin Pilot Challenge. They just changed it. It was formerly sponsored by Continental Tire, which I love very much. And Michelin's come in as the new series tire. And I'm racing for the Hart team, which is Honda of America racing team. And very interesting program because they are all volunteers that work at Honda.
Oh, wow.
So my co-driver, Chad Gilsinger, is a engineer and test driver for Honda. In fact, he handled a lot of the Acura NSX street car development. My crew chief is a guy named Andrew Salzano, who works on many different things, including power steering design for a lot of the Acuras and Honda street cars you see today. So it's a really cool program. They get money from Honda to go racing, but they're not paid to go racing. It's to help build team skills. It's engineering, thinking outside the box, and we're the only program like that in North American motorsports that I know of. So it's a very unique thing to be a part of.
So I think
also now. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead, finish up.
I'll also be racing the Gradient Acura NSX for Gradient Racing Team. I just got this opportunity literally last Monday, about as in like 8 days ago. At 6 o'clock, my phone rang. I had no idea that I'd be driving an NSX anytime soon. And they said, hey, can you get on an airplane, come to Austin, Texas tomorrow to test the race car? And I said, hell yeah, I can. And so I got on a plane the next day. We had a great test. My engineer, Andrew Slavin, I think is one of the best guys in the paddock engineer-wise. And the Acura NSX, I helped develop and raced it in 2017 and partially in 2018 in IMSA. So it was like putting on an old pair of shoes. I knew the car right away. So our first race, I fly tomorrow back to Austin, Texas, to Circuit of the Americas, which is the track that they race the Formula One cars out there.
Oh yeah.
And we have double-header races this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. You can go to world-challenge.com, and it'll be live on YouTube as well. And we're in the number 5 Acura NSX. And I'll be posting all this stuff on my social media, so just look me up at Eversley on Instagram or at Ryan Eversley on Twitter. And I'll be spouting off all sorts of dumb stuff about it.
Fantastic.
That is awesome.
Ryan,
So I think what I heard is, sorry to interrupt you, Rusty.
I was going to let him go.
Yeah.
You're holding back from beer,
No,
man.
I'm just 30 seconds. I'm holding back from his Australian friend just getting everybody wasted. But I think what I heard was if we go to Road Atlanta, we may be able to like push a crash cart around or something. If everybody's volunteer, you might need an extra fat guy hand, and then we can just sort of push them. If we can get in the pit. No, I'm kidding.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Ryan, we appreciate you being on so much. Thanks again. Maybe we'll talk to you again soon. Like we said, if you want to come on again, then that's our measure for success. So appreciate it.
Well, we'll see what the fans say. If they hate it, then I'm not coming back. But if they like it,
That is totally fair.
Love it. Love it. All right, man. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Have fun tonight.
Thanks, guys. We will. Cheers.
All right. See ya. Bye.
Cheers.
Cool. Well then.
Well, that was awesome.
Ryan
totally
Eversley.
different and awesome.
Yeah. What a cool guy. Very easy to talk to. Very fun. That comes again with folks who I wonder how he was before he started his own podcast versus now.
Right, and just learn how to be on the mic and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
Because it matters. I mean, that stuff matters.
Right. Me and Sherwin have done, we did like 2 podcasts in the last, like 2 other people's podcasts in the last 2 weeks.
Oh, we're working on like, 3 podcasts in 7 days? 8 days. 3 podcasts in 8 days.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, 4. We did 2 of ours last week.
Oh, right. We did one yesterday with the final lap. I think you already mentioned it, but we'll fire off that again.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think we covered first period and second period.
So we didn't quite get all the way through the show.
Yeah. So
kind of what we expected.
Well keep on talking. I mean, we're only 36 minutes in, so we can keep rocking and rolling and seeing what's going on.
Third period, on the highway.
Brad Keselowski winning while sick. How much? So we saw him in post race, which is kind of cool. We were just waiting for the hour that they hold everybody before you're allowed to leave the infield.
Pretty much.
And we said, well, let's just go into the media center and see what Brad Keselowski has to say. In his post race deal, which is our first time doing that, and that was super cool to watch. And I mean, he just walks in. He's like, "Sorry guys, I got to take a piss real quick first." And
that was funny. Yeah. I got to go pee.
Yeah, and comes back out and sits down and starts talking. And it was cool to see that interaction and everything. And I think Bob Pockrass asked the best question. Bob's just a freaking animal when it comes to.
Yeah, he's a magician.
Yeah, he dominates everybody on I don't know, thoughts or whatever. And he was talking about how the progression was, of his illness. And Brad said, if we had to race on Saturday, I would not have raced. Like, how crazy is that, Sherwin?
It's very crazy.
Because he won.
Because he won the race. And,
right.
And we know that sometimes when your mind is a little bit distracted, you actually can focus better. But I'll get nitpicky with how loosely people throw the word the flu around. If you're only sick for 3 days, you didn't have the flu.
Yeah.
You had some other thing.
Mm-hmm.
The flu is at least a 6 or 7 day
ordeal,
debilitating
problem.
Can't eat, can't drink, can't do anything else. Body hurts like hell. Like, there's no way he could have raced if he actually had influenza.
Right.
But that doesn't mean he's not tough for getting the IV, getting hydrated, and getting in that car, and obviously raising hell with it.
Yeah. I would have liked to ask Ryan. I know we ran out of time, but if he had raced under the weather before, and how that affects stuff. Brad was sitting there, and he was sort of asked that in that media center interview, and he was saying, well, it was. You do get into like that seat that is fitted for you, and you get into this sort of comfort zone. You get sort of into this like it's the most,
and then you get a shot of adrenaline as soon as you fire that motor up.
Right. So it's the most comfortable you are while you're sick, but you're still sick. So everything is lower. But if you're feeling like 50% before you get in the car, you're maybe feeling 75% or so once you're in it. I thought that was an interesting point too. Like this seat and this suit and this helmet and this car are molded to your body. So this is probably the most comfortable place you could be. Now you have to race, but as far as physical comfort, I thought that was a really cool point.
Like whoever invented meth, like they extracted adrenaline and then like messed with the chemistry in it, because that's what adrenaline is. Adrenaline distracts you from everything that might be wrong with you.
True.
It takes all your pain away, and it gives you energy that you didn't have.
Yeah.
Isn't that what meth is?
Meth?
Pretty much.
I don't know what. I mean, I am obsessed. I've said it before.
Like a tiny dose, like just a little, like Adderall, which isn't okay either, y'all.
That comes from
if you're not prescribed.
Sudafed, right? So pseudoephedrine, it's ephedrine, right?
Yeah, ephedrine.
Yeah, that's uppers.
Well, that's the awake part of the drug.
Yeah. So anyway, y'all.
I mean, we're just goofing off, y'all. No, seriously though, like adrenaline is a crazy cool thing, and if you can get yourself hydrated to the point where you actually can get a race car, as soon as you fire the motor up, adrenaline's going to take control.
I thought you were going to say as soon as you can get high enough. You said hydrated enough, but as soon as you can get high enough to just
I didn't
get that
pause. I should have paused a little bit and then
as soon as
drated.
you get hydrated. So this was fun. Truex in second. I will beep myself here. He said on the radio. He said, "Beep the 17 man. He's such a beeping beep. The beep 17 cost us that race, Cole." And that was his comments on the radio. Now, of course, everybody knows that, like we were just talking about, adrenaline getting pumped up during the race.
Your heart rate's at 155.
Right.
If you're in good shape. For me, it'd be like 190.
But after the race, I would say he said those exact words, but way more diplomatically, and saying, we felt like the 17 cost us a race. Here's why. We could have done blah, blah, blah. 17 said, or Stenhouse is who we're talking about here, of course. Stenhouse was saying, hey, with 3 laps ago, he was 100 feet behind me. And then with 2 laps ago when he came up, I went down. I don't know what he wanted, or I let him by. His definition, I think that's where the definition gets weird. His definition of let him by sounds like it's different from what Truex's definition of let him by.
So
did he take his line or what?
Yeah, I think, and this is where I'll maybe like be contradictive of myself, or maybe what's the word? Just biased.
Talk out of both sides. Yeah.
Yeah, talk out of both sides of my mouth, and I don't have any problem doing that because that's part of being, on this whole radio program. But
we got to fill an hour somehow.
It's the difference between being a driver that's well respected, has won a lot of races, and races nice around people, or forgiving, or whatever the word is, the Mark Martin, Tony Stewart rule of, if you catch me, I'll let you go. When I catch you, you let me go. The standard of what racing used to be. Well, Stenhouse hasn't earned any of that respect. He's only ever won at a restrictor plate track. And you got a champion chasing you down, trying to chase another champion. We're talking about, the guy that won the race, by the way, whether you like it or not, you can dislike him all you want. He's already Hall of Famer. Already. Championship, 28 races. Hall of Famer. And then you have a past champion who's won, I think, 14 races, chasing you down. And it's like, hey, why wouldn't you just let him go?
Yeah.
Ford orders, maybe. I doubt it very seriously.
No.
Roush and Penske aren't even on the same planet. Do they buy motors from the same place? Yes. Roush, it wouldn't surprise me if in 2 years Roush didn't even exist. I don't even know.
Getting real.
I hope he lives forever. But if Jack Roush dies, so does that team. Because there is no succession plan. They killed their Xfinity Series team. There is no heir apparent within that program.
Unless it's Kenseth, who they...
I hope it is. Yeah. I hope it's Kansas.
Kansas?
To use Darrell Waltrip language. I hope it's Kansas.
Got his baseball
just
card
like,
right here.
We all know Jeff Gordon's going to take over Hendrick Motorsports here in just a couple years. And that's just part of it. And he should. He's already part owner anyway, so who cares? But that's, we're digressing, or I am digressing.
Grandpa's story. But
I don't think that's Ford orders for sure. And I think it's just Stenhouse. Like, he's like the wart on Ryan Newman's arse. Like, I'm racing for every position. This is the reason why Trevor Bayne is not in the sport. No success, really hard to pass. People ended up dumping him in the fence. Even like Danica dumped him because he was such a pain in the ass on the racetrack.
And they were going out.
And this is why he doesn't have – well, Trevor doesn't go out.
Like, oh, no, I meant Stenhouse. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, sorry.
Pronouns.
It's like you can't – you have to get out of the way at some point. I agree with all the people that think that Truex is a whiner in this position. I also agree with all the people that say, Stenhouse, you had a straightaway lead to get the lucky dog. Get out of the way for the two people that might be able to put on the best race that happens this year.
Yeah. Well,
give us that Gordon Jimmy Johnson moment, that Bobby Labonte Kevin Harvick moment, that Carl Edwards Jimmy Johnson moment.
Jimmy Johnson is a common theme.
There's been a lot of great moments at Atlanta because of how rough that racetrack is, and the only way to create that situation is to have a rough surface where tire wear matters.
And let's not forget, though, that Joey had similar comments for Stenhouse last week at Daytona over the radio. Joey backed down on his comments later. He just said, hey, look, that's just one of the things when you're on the radio and everybody can hear it and whatnot, but, you got to chime in sometimes and get something off your back, and then, you don't mean blah, 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 but, it's everybody says stuff on the radio.
Everybody says stuff on the radio.
Well, he was just backing down in terms of like, look, I said here, I got it written somewhere here.
So, and I'll say this while you're looking for it.
No, I didn't write it down. But
it's fine.
But he cussed him out on the radio, and then came in later and said, everybody cusses everybody out on the radio. And here's where I believe it. I have cussed Sherwin out on the track with no radio. While we were racing.
Couldn't even communicate.
Like, get out of the way, blah, bleepity, bleepity, everything. But, at the end, we're like, man, that was a fun race. That was awesome, dude. Like, there's nothing about it.
Well, it's part that. And
but, what the 17, this keeps happening to the 17. That was my point.
He's the common ground in a lot of these conversations. So, and it doesn't matter what the racing discipline is. He's the common ground. And so, it's just, we're not talking about going to the go-kart track with your buddies and butthole won't get out of the way. We're talking about NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series racing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're just out there trying to be in the way, as Clint Boyer said, when he had the exact same problem with the 17 early in the race, he said, if that ain't mirror driving, I don't know what is.
Mirror driving lap down. That's, that's what we've heard quite a bit.
It's like, that's not okay.
Yeah. Let's move on to fourth period. Hendrick, what's the deal? That's what I said.
They suck.
Highest finisher was 15th with Alex Bowman, who Ryan Eversley said, it hooked him up pre-race and all that, and I guess had a good race. I really wasn't paying attention. I was paying attention to Jimmy Johnson, who I picked for the race, and he went. He started 11th, and at the end,
promptly went 2 laps down.
I believe at the end of the first stage, he was 24th. Like, that's how bad.
And that's where he ran all day, and what ultimately that resulted in was him being 2 laps down.
I still need to. I told the final lap guys yesterday that I need to still do the research on what in the world was going on with this car. I still today need to do that same research. I have no idea other than just the car was total crap. We know Jimmy is strong at Atlanta. That's why I picked him. And when he started 11th, I went, yeah, that's I'm happy with that pick. And then, if you remember, we were listening to MRN radio before they were going green. And they were doing their picks, going to everybody. Not MRN, we were listening to PRN, sorry. PRN radio, and everybody was doing their picks. The guys down in the pit, the guys up in the booth and everything. And one of them picked Jimmy Johnson, said starting off 11th, he's strong here. We know what Jimmy can do here. Boom, I'm picking Jimmy Johnson. And I was like, all right, vindication. I picked somebody that, somebody who knows what they're talking about at NASCAR is also
right,
picking.
Gets paid to do it.
And he already knew that he's starting 11th. He wasn't starting, 45th.
Which that's been... last year he started way back there a bunch. He
started 45th a bunch of times, and that I'm well aware that there's only 40 cars max.
Yeah,
but he started 45th sometimes. So Larson throwing shade to his fellow Chevy team. This was a big sort of story. He said, "I feel like Hendrick plays games in a way with NASCAR. I feel like they always start the year off kind of bad to show NASCAR that they're being nice and cooperating and following the rules and stuff." And then it gets a couple months into the season, they start cheating and find some speed. So I don't know, but it was satisfying, and it's been satisfying the last few years to be considered the top Chevy team, blah, 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 blah. Went on, more of that. But he dropped the word cheating, which I really, really liked that he did.
Love that word.
We love the word cheating here. And I think he was using it in the same context that we use it here. But that's still a strong comment. About what they're, it sounds like sandbagging almost, or whatever you want to call it. But I don't know. What do you think about those comments?
The comments I think is classic Kyle Larson flippancy. Like he's just saying whatever. He don't give a shit. And Chip Ganassi doesn't either, for the most part. We don't know whether or not they're going to have a talk and him saying, "Hey man, just we buy their motors. Maybe you back off a little bit." And then anybody with a checkbook and an accountant license says, oh, by the way, Chip Ganassi has a $12 million relationship with Hendrick Motors.
Mm-hmm.
So it really doesn't matter what Kyle Larson says, no matter how much y'all want to get pissed off of that. I saw a bunch of Chase fans go after him for saying that. It's like, really? Can you – go dig a hole. Like, fly a kite, something. Just – give me a break. This is a professional race car driver. Just somebody stuck a microphone in his face, and he said what he wanted to say, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know what it is? It's exciting because you're either like laughing about it or you're like steaming pissed, to use a Ron White quote. Like, either way, it's fine. We need both bell curves, or both tails of that bell curve.
Y'all have to send us in your favorite, like, safe for work redneck euphemisms. Because, like, go dig a hole. My dad always said, go jump in the lake.
Yeah, fly a kite, I think, was ours.
Yeah, that was go dig a hole, jump in a lake, or fly a kite. Those are so much better than, go F yourself or something.
Yeah.
But, like, if you say, go jump in a lake, what does that mean? Like, oh, I guess I'm wrong. Into the lake.
Well,
or go dig a hole.
Yeah,
I need to go dig a hole now.
It forces you to reinterpret what they really meant without them, like, I mean, it's not, like, there's no masking when you say go F yourself. But if you say go fly a kite, that person knows exactly what you meant. And you could be on Mr. Rogers' show and say that.
Yeah. I love it. Dig a hole and jump in the lake. All that. Y'all send us y'all's favorites, too. Go read a book.
Go read
Roger
a book.
says his mom used to say. I'm digging it. Perhaps you need more bandwidth. Nice one, Beast. Oh, man, I love this stuff. Yep. Y'all send us your favorites, too, on Twitter or something like that. Let's go to fifth period. So this is on NASCAR.com, one of their articles here. Kurt Busch, listen to this. When he started with Penske, he got the pole at Auto Club and a win at Bristol. Okay, we're talking about within the first, 5 races or whatever.
And that was in the number 2 Miller Lite Dodge.
Ooh, hello. We don't have any Miller Lite up here because it's, Atlanta
not.
Day. But James Finch, he got a top 10 in his 5th start. Furniture Row, 4th in his 4th start, 5th in his 5th start. Both of those last two were with one-car teams, y'all, at that point. Insane what he's doing. And then SHR, his 6th start was a victory at Martinsville, and his 2nd start with Ganassi is a 3rd at Atlanta. I can't even talk. Kurt Busch, when he starts with a new team, he's got Mo. What's his deal?
Best wheelman in NASCAR.
There's that.
As voted on by his peers.
Right.
Why he didn't have more wins is hard to process, but he has 33 of them. So
he's got plenty of those.
I think he's got 29. I want to say.
You
Don't want to overstate it, but
any number within a range now. Believe me.
He's got a 500, a championship, and 29 wins. Guess what, y'all? Like it or not, Hall of Fame.
No doubt. So I find it amazing. And here's the thing. I would like to see. Now, this was all his first season with a team. I wonder what his second season with each of the teams that he's been with more than one season what those stats look like. I'm guessing they're not too dissimilar in terms of maybe he just
with
starts
Roush
the season.
for sure. So he started with Roush in 2000 or 2001. And I think he had won 6 or 8 races before he won the championship in 2004. And then by 2006, he'd already worn out his welcome.
Yeah.
I think he left.
His mouth had worn out its welcome.
Yeah, he left mid-season, I believe.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's obviously calmed down quite a bit. Kurt Busch is basically our age, my age. I think he's 38. 39, I think. He's 6 years older than Kyle, and Kyle turns 34 in May. So he's 1 year older than me, essentially. And clearly I've accomplished more, but or absolutely not.
No, well, you've got the podcast. So Sarah and Bari on the YouTube chat says, fun fact, I gave birth during the very first chase race, which Kurt Busch won. #TMI. You know what?
That's definitely TMI.
I don't know if that's TMI. Hey, I'm not thinking about all
Sarah's cool. She's a lot of fun.
I'm not thinking about all the details. If you'd have told me the exact time that this sort of and dilations and blah blah blah,
I don't need
that's
we don't
TMI
need
stuff,
that.
and
for
water
sure.
that breaks or doesn't. And whatnot,
oh my God, we are venturing into a realm that is very PTM normal.
I'm saying these are the things that would be TMI.
Oh
Gave
yeah,
birth
let's just
during
make
the
a
race.
list.
That's not TMI. You're right. That's where I'm at. So let's do a new follower shout out. I'll do the first one, Sherwin. You do the second one. Kyle Souza at KSOUZA261. multimedia motorsports journalist and writer for NASCAR Home Tracks, which is awesome. And that's some of what Davey was doing last week too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So as well as social media for Seekonk Speedway. Where's Seekonk Speedway?
I don't know. I didn't look it up.
I'm going to look it up while you are telling about the second one.
All right. New followers shout out number 2, Mr. Brad Gilley, Performance Racing Network broadcaster and Sirius XM NASCAR radio host. Great to have you on. It's really cool when some of the professional guys start sort of paying attention to what you're doing.
Right. Oh, here's something that blew our minds, y'all. We so Seekonk is it's in Massachusetts.
And
if you think of like where Rhode Island is down there on the bottom part of Massachusetts, it's just over the eastern border of Rhode Island into Massachusetts,
so it's
just
like
east of Providence.
Southern-ish, but like middle.
Southeast.
Sort of.
Southeast,
About 100 miles from Boston, something like that?
It's real close to Providence. It's like a suburb of Providence, Rhode Island.
Oh, okay.
So
cool.
there you go. Yeah, but sure enough, like you said, with Brad Gilley, somebody we don't have to say who that is if you've ever listened.
Most of y'all don't even
PRN
need an introduction
or
for him.
Anything there. Yeah, that was pretty cool. So, yeah. I was going to say, we talked to Bob Pockrass a bit this weekend, and now that he's with Fox Sports.
Oh, y'all gonna have to all call him out. Every one of y'all, please call Bob Pockrass out. We have a verbal affidavit from him to be a guest on the show under one condition.
Let's not say the condition here. Let's say it when we get
we'll
him
do
on.
the video then.
Yeah. Well,
but it's a reasonable affidavit.
Right. He said he would be on one condition, and it's something that has to happen during the show. And I said I will do whatever that is, whatever it is. I don't care. We'll have you on.
So we're going to make him be on for 2 hours.
Yeah,
it's going to be awesome.
But what was funny? So this is what got me thinking about it. Was you said it's really cool when somebody like Brad Gilley is paying attention or something. So Bob Pockrass heard the show, probably not, or he heard from somebody.
Well, let me tell it just a second,
Yeah.
and then I'll let you finish. Sorry, we interrupt each other a lot, y'all. So I asked Bob that now that he is a Fox affiliate or employee, as it were, if his ban on speaking to independent outlets has been lifted. And he said, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Oh, you mean like podcasts?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's exactly what I mean." And he's like, "Well, which one are you?" And like I fumbled around in my pocket because I had one of our stickers, and like it took me a couple seconds, and I pulled it out, and he goes, "Ha ha!"
Yeah.
He goes, and now,
oh yeah,
Rusty re-entered.
So he said either he had listened to it or known something about it because he said you said at one point XYZ, and we were like, and it's like, whoa, Bob Pockrass knows that I said that. I was probably drunk. I probably. So
Bob Pockrass listens to our podcast, y'all.
Maybe he's listening right now. But he came over to me, and he came over to where I was, and he said, "Yeah, I'll be on the show, man." He said, "But you said blah 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 on the podcast," and I said, "No, I didn't," and that was probably Sherwin. And then he like went a little deeper, and
I'd already ratted Rusty out, by the way.
Oh yeah, he went a little deeper. He said, "No, you said this, this, and this," and I went, "Ooh, that was definitely me then." So he said, "All right, I'll come on if you do XYZ." Anyway, we're being a bit vague here, obviously, and
but we
got to
be vague.
We'll put that. We'll call it the teaser, and we're gonna tease the following. It is time to gas it up. Yes, sir. We're going to Vegas, Sin City, y'all. Sin City. New package, for real this time. Sherwin, what do you think we expect out of this new package? Like, for real package, new, for real package, new, package, real, for package.
New and real and packaging.
Just try to use all the words in, the different permutations.
I don't know what to say. What I know is, for sure, you are not going to see at Vegas what you saw at Atlanta. And The reason why you're not going to see at Vegas what you saw at Atlanta is going to have nothing to do with whatever these air duct flags they're trying to distract all the fans with. They're just like,
okay,
trying to distract everybody.
Okay.
So what the ducts do is they're designed to deflect air around the car to create a bigger hole. All that does is disrupt more air, which means there's going to be a less available racetrack that makes sense to a driver. So, in their hopes to create Talladega at Las Vegas, we shall see what happens. I don't want to be doom and gloom. I'm not going to be doom and gloom. I'm interested to see how they manage it. One of the things that they're going to have is what they didn't need at Atlanta was the brake ducts. They offered brake ducts at Atlanta, and teams said, we don't even use brakes here.
Right.
As a matter of fact, they only used rear brakes at Atlanta to stay in the gas to keep the RPMs up. They dragged the brake and didn't turn the wheel to just drag the brake to turn the car.
Yep.
Like, you know how if you've never been loose in a rear-wheel drive car, I suggest you try it so that you understand what NASCAR racing is, because that's what it is. It's when the ass wants to flip ends on you and be at the front. Mark Martin does a great job of explaining this in his podcast. You'd have to listen to a ton of them to hear all the good stuff. But you used, in stock cars, traditionally, you used the rear tires to steer the car because you don't want to scrub speed or tear up the grip that you have in the front. That's what they were doing at Atlanta for the most part. Anybody that was using brakes at Atlanta was using the rear of the car to steer it so they could stay in the throttle and keep the engine wound up, just like we used to do at the Xfinity races. Remember how many times did Elliott Sadler talk about, well, you got to keep it wound up. You got to keep it wound up.
Yeah. I mean, if you're even on the highway and stuff, and you're in a manual transmission car, you're trying to keep it wound up when you're trying to pass somebody at 60 miles an hour.
Well, and that is the difference with, like, you know,
I still got to have this power available to me.
In an automatic, you don't really get to choose when, like, you have to use the accelerator to make the transmission change gears. One of the cool things about driving a manual transmission up and down the highway in regular, normal, non-racing conditions is if I feel it start to bog, I just grab a lower gear. You don't always have that option in an automatic. Like, you have to press the gas until the computer goes, that's too much gas for this gear.
Or you're like me and my truck's an automatic, and I just try to, like, pretend I'm in NASCAR, so I'm like, I'm keeping the revs up,
always on the edge of it.
yeah, because I know where because I've been driving it for 15 years.
Yeah, you've driven it long enough. You know where the gear change RPM is. Like, you look at it and you can feel it, the vibration on it. And that's the same thing as, like, I don't look at RPM when I'm driving, and you've seen that because you've ridden with me. It's like as soon as I feel something weird, I downshift.
Yeah. So I think what Vegas is right now is the most anticipated Vegas since I've been paying attention to NASCAR.
That is a good point.
Good anticipation, bad anticipation. You know, press is press, PR is PR. I think they're. I think
there are different things. By the way,
I would love to see a great race out of Vegas. That's what I want. I want to see that. I don't know if that means it's vindication for the new package or if it's just a great race. I just want to see great racing. And I'm definitely not saying I want to see bad racing, because then what's the point of me watching?
I don't want to root against them.
Right.
I want to root for me to be wrong.
And that's what we were saying at the very beginning of this show, was that the people who've made up their mind will find ways to validate that they've made up their mind, you know? And
that's what everything has been after Atlanta.
Right. So I don't want that to be the case for me. You know, like everybody, I have doubts, but that's also who moved my cheese stuff. So let's do this, Sherwin. Let's make some picks.
Drivers, start your engines!
And we still need to put the new thing in there. I only think about it every time.
Oh, man. You got to get J.J. Watt in there, dude. He earned it. He
did earn it. He did earn it, and we've got it. So, last week, Joey Logano, who you picked, finished 23rd. 23rd, Sherwin. I picked Jimmy Johnson.
He led like 30-something laps, though, didn't he?
Maybe.
Damn it.
I picked Jimmy Johnson, who finished
Jimmy's Johnson
24th. One position
I beat
behind.
you.
So you got me. By the way, Davey picked Kyle Busch, who got 6th. So, props to Davey. It's time to do our picks this week. So, Sherwin, you get to go first. Now, we already did picks on Final Lap, and I was saying on that show I'm not ready to commit.
I thought the winner goes second.
Winner goes second?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to go second.
So we flip-flop.
Oh, perfect.
We're the NFL, dude. This is normalized.
Yeah,
this
that's
is
fine.
communism,
That's fine.
dude.
So, no,
straight communism.
Here's the thing. I think with any new rules package, anything that happens, for me, I'm just looking for racers. Guys who will get up there and freaking win no matter what happens because they're great racers. And it happens to be his hometown. Kyle Busch is who I'm picking for the Vegas race.
I'm a big fan of that pick. I really like that a lot.
I mean, it's kind of a layup, right? I mean,
here's the thing is, so
let's look up Vegas. I'm going to look up Vegas odds while you're talking.
Yeah, so let me just give a little preface. The major difference that we're going to see at Vegas isn't going to have anything to do with those stupid air ducts or whatever the hell that is. It's going to be due to the fact that Vegas has a very smooth surface. They're going to bring a tire that's hard as diamonds, and there's not going to be any of that short pitting stuff, which means somebody's going to blow tires, and we're never going to have green flag pit stops. And it's going to be single file because there only ever was one lane at Vegas. What did you think was going to happen if you changed the horsepower package and the air and the downforce package? What did you think it was going to create two lanes? It's not. It's not going to create. I'm happy to be proved wrong, but I believe that it's not.
Before you make your pick, real quick, there's one person who has better odds, according to Vegas right now. According to Vegas odds at Vegas, there's only one time we can be like Vegas odds, Vegas. We're saying Vegas everywhere, but the odds for Kyle Busch is there's one person who has better odds than him right now.
And you want me to guess who?
No, I don't want you to guess. I want you to give your pick, and then I'll tell you who the other one or who that person was.
Oh,
because I didn't want to say the person, and then you go, "Ooh, I'm picking him." Or not picking him, or it. To change your mind
I got you.
Do you have your pick in your mind already?
Yeah, I do. I want to fuddle around with it a little bit, though.
Well, no. No, I'm not. Because if it's a person who you pick, then I'm going to kind of like ruin your thing. So
no, it's fine. I just want to fuddle. I want to talk a little bit.
Do it.
So this has typically been the kind of track that Truex has been really fast at. Harvick,
I've been fat at all the tracks.
Yeah, well, every single one of them for about 10 years for me. Harvick obviously has been extremely fast at these kind of tracks. This is the kind of place where Joey Logano can go fast. Keselowski kind of has it has that like sort of fuel mileage-y thing can happen at Vegas because of what I just said about how hard the tires typically are.
We've said it before. If you want somebody up in your crew chief stand, Cole Pern is who you want.
You want Cole Pern, but I'm going to go with young Ryan Blaney.
There you go.
He was fast at Atlanta.
He was. Yeah. That's a great pick. I love it. Not only fast at Atlanta, led a bunch of laps, and I believe we were talking about like he passed more people than anybody else.
Yeah, the only reason why they had a complete bleep up at the end of the race is because they thought he was out of his box when he wasn't, and he backed over the jack. Like he was already jacked up on the right side, and he backed over it, and that's clearly a problem.
We didn't even talk about the Phantom. Was it a
cheatering on Truex?
Wasn't it
foot down or foot not?
Yeah.
Well, that's the first time a computer's ever made a call that a human overruled, because typically it's the other way around. Right?
And the whole point was like we're introducing the computer thing to take out the human element, and then they reviewed it by a human. So I mean,
so why are we doing the computer thing if we're just going to humanize it?
I love Steve O'Donnell. I think he's really cool in terms of being available for press and all that, and being available for everyone.
I know he's a smart dude, but damn.
That one was, I think, something that maybe he owes a little bit more context on for us, or at least telling us, hey, here's how we're going to use this thing. So
he just needs he needs to instill confidence in everyone that they're doing the right things.
Yes.
And he doesn't, while being smart and being very eloquent and well-spoken, he does a really bad job of instilling confidence in us, the fans, that they are making the right decisions for the right reasons.
Yeah. Well, he's also, I would say it's weird because he's judge, jury, and executioner. Like, he's kind of helping make the decisions, but he's also very available to kind of explain his side of the decisions, which can be, a double-edged sword there in a situation like this. So anyway, let's not end this on a down low.
Oh, yeah, let's swing it back on up.
Let's swing it back on up. I got Kyle Busch. You got Blaney. I'm looking forward to Vegas. Like I said, most
Toyotas and Fords are the fastest right now.
Yes, sir. Most anticipated Vegas race in a while. We've gone an hour and 10 minutes or so. We want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. And on the folks on the Twitter, I keep saying that, on the YouTube. Have been just having a ball and enjoying each other's company along with ours as we can come in and say stuff and call people out and stuff. It's so much fun. This is the most fun that we have during the week and with our clothes on. Not, together, obviously, with our clothes on.
Jeez, we got
together, but not.
That got weird as hell, didn't it?
I decided to make it weird by that. All right, y'all.
NASCAR After Dark. PTM After Dark is happening right now, but not the way you think it's going to happen.
With our clothes on or off. I don't know. Anyway.
Mine are going to stay on, but I do have a zipper.
I can't even do it. All right, y'all. Y'all know where to find us. PTMPodcast.com, at PTM Podcast on Twitter. As always, I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace, at Tailgate Mayor.
And I'm Andrew Sherwin, at Pregame Engineer, at Andrew L. Sherwin on Instagram. We enjoyed having y'all, everybody.
Thank you, Ryan, for hanging out with us. We'll talk to y'all next week. As always, surprise guest
unknown.
Yeah,
so far unknown.
I was going to say
decided.
I was going to say surprise guest, but it really means we haven't nailed it down yet.
Yeah, he figured it out.
Surprised us. It's all good. We will talk to y'all next week. Thank you for joining. See ya.
Woo! Damn, that was fun.
Done. Boom.
Are we still on YouTube, or are we all the way
We are
done?
in YouTube, and we are in the books.
You know who we should have next soon?
Next soon.
Next soon?
I like next soons.
Sydney Lett.
Ooh.
Talk some country music.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She texted me this morning. She said, "Hey, I miss you." I'm like, "Hey,
we
I
miss
hope
you.
You're doing good."
We miss her. Yeah. Absolutely. I wonder if has she been in a race or at a race recently?
No, she's been in Nashville just playing up a stizzarm.
I want to know where she's at, and I need to take a trip to Nashville soon.
All right. Texting commencing now.
Ask her where we can find her, like her schedule, if she's got a schedule or something. Like, it's awesome. Awesome. Yeah, Cone, I hear you. Cone came in and made it a thing.
Firebombed it.
After the party. Zip it up, zippity do it. Yeah, I mean, we totally went Utah standoff there at the end. That was just fun. I couldn't. There's something about it. I just can't help myself. When it's like, oh, that's most fun.
I can't help myself.
Most fun you can have with your clothes off. Well,
on.
Damn
it.
but not together.
With the tripping over the. Is this a crap?
Oh, Ashley came in and y'all ditched it. That's what'll happen. Yep. Odell, you were awesome. Beast. Appreciate it.
Cone and Ashley, y'all were only off by an hour and a half. But
Roger, I like being nerds with you on this thing.
Nerd necks.
Dialed in. Doing our thing. Sarah, yes, we have transitioned into PTM After Dark, no doubt. This is so much fun, y'all.
Sarah's fun.
And I'm just...
They're all fun. Everybody's fun.
Ashley saying, sorry I'm so late. I have a really needy boyfriend.
You're not sorry. Y'all don't respond to texts worth a damn.
Oh, call him out. Mark. Hey, Mark, congrats on... Mark Wiley has, like, officially quit his job.
I saw that he, got a real, what he wants to do as a job.
Yeah.
That's awesome,
so
man.
much fun. Y'all,
literally, we're not making fun. That's really flipping cool.
no, that's that's the dream right there. That's what I would like to do, but damn, it's a shame that I know software really well. If I knew NASCAR as well as I knew software, maybe I could make some money off of it.
Ed Mont getting ready for some Mardi Gras. Well,
Yes,
guess what,
sir.
Ed? It'll be available in every place you would possibly want to watch or listen, which is cool.
Public shaming works. Sherwin, keep it up. Yep.
Yep,
I agree.
absolutely.
Absolutely. Mardi Gras. When is Mardi Gras? It's kind of late
It's like
for Mardi
next
Gras.
Tuesday, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
late
not
as
even
shit.
like.
Because
Yeah.
Easter's
It's
like
March.
the last Sunday in April or something crazy.
kidding.
It's like
Wow.
as late as it can go.
Wow. Okay. Well,
NASCAR Gras. I'm with you on that, Cohen.
like
I
that.
saw you
I like
tweet
that.
that out earlier, and I like it. NASCAR Gras.
yeah. Yeah. I'll lift my shirt
Hey, we
for
do
that.
go Tuesdays, so I mean NASCAR Gras
Yeah.
next Tuesday.
Yeah. I mean, it's right there in the name. It's like, what day is Cinco de Mayo?
Yeah.
July 4th.
What is that day?
Mardi Gras.
What in the shit is Poxy? I know Roger's from Polish. He's like half Polish and half like Iroquois Indian or Native American. Sorry, Roger, not trying to piss you off. You know that better than anybody.
Paxi Las Vegas is the first thing that comes up
Vegas.
for me. It's filled donuts that are typical for Polish cuisine. So
We're
he's
on
always
the wrong
bringing.
side of the screen. What the hell you mean by that, beast?
Well, if he's over there, I don't know, having some Paxi or something. Good stuff. Punchki.
Punchki.
Is that how? Okay, I said Paxi.
Donuts,
But-
fat donuts.
Love it. Messing me up when you toast each other and reach to the outside. Oh yeah,
Oh crap! I
like
got
it.
you
I like it. Here you go. Yeah, I'll cheers you. Blam, right there.
right there.
What do you think of that one? All right, y'all. We got to get this thing saved down and put on everywhere.
We got to get it on the
things
internets,
get
y'all.
put on. So thank you so much for joining PTM Posse. You're the best. We got some very
And don't act like we don't like. We should just know what punchki is. All right, we from the South. Ain't no Polish people down here. All right, if it don't look Irish or Scottish, we don't know what the hell that is.
Oh, appreciate y'all being on. Hey, by the way, we've been coming up with some funny ass stuff for the handoff for the 2019 or 2018, I guess, sponsorship deal. It's going to be there's some funny stuff going to happen. So,
Oh yeah, that's going to be
yeah.
ridiculous. Actually,
So we'll see y'all soon. Thank you for joining. Next week. Peace out.
Bye bye.